incredible, the variance of what the draw can do to it, especially a certain turn 4 card. The name doesn't need to be said because we're not even going to see it this cast.
Yeah, we don't talk about that card lest it appear. So if you say it 3 times, it just turns up on turn 4 for your opponent.
Right, and when we said a while ago that Tom is probably targeting Priest, that was more likely with Raza Priest in mind.
Yes.
So this lineup might not be built to deal with Big Priest, which of course runs a lot more AoE in the form of Pint-Sized Potion and Shadow Word Horror. And Tom also has a Paladin, which is very weak to that kind of card. So we're going to be getting into the first game, which is going to be Mage versus this Hunter that I questioned. And I've seen a lot of Mana Worm into Arcanologist opening mulligans today, haven't you?
Yeah, and that's obviously the hand that you want. And you need to get a good hand because this Hunter deck is definitely in a good spot against the Mage. It has all the things that Mage doesn't like. It can proc blocks with its hero power. It can go wide and launch its own counterattacks. It has removal for your minions. And you don't have the time to kill the Hunter if they're doing all those things to you. But if you're going Mana Worm into Arcanologist, you buy a lot of extra time for yourself. Yeah,
absolutely. And because this Hunter plays the Pirate package, again, having that 1/3-on-1 is incredibly powerful. And it seems like a spectator bug. I thought you kept the patches for a second. No way. Corridor Creeper, of course, really insane in this matchup as well, and any aggressive matchup.
Yeah, and getting that Eaglehorn bow could be a big deal. It's going to allow Tom to have a non-spell way, non-counterable way to kill these early minions.
Yeah, the weapon is really, really great because with the new secrets that Mage has gotten, like explosive runes, they have answers for minions that are probably more efficient than Potion of Polymorph. And then they also have Counterspell and Spellbender from back in the day. So that leaves essentially only weapons as the surefire way to get rid of minions.
And then he's going to have a choice to make if he wants to use the coin to not proc Counterspell early, to get out the weapon early, or if he wants to hold on to the coin as a Counterspell defense. And that's going to matter how much damage he's taken by then, I assume.
Yeah, this turn, I think... Do you like playing out the deck hand here? I think it's really not too great. Yeah, I think it's going to be coin into weapon, and then a kill command turn, possibly. Because as the Hunter, even though you're an aggressive deck, again, removing mage minions is such a huge boon. You don't have to get the early board necessarily. As long as you can run the mage out of minions to play, you can take the time and play your own stuff because the mage doesn't want to be using their burn on your minions. At the same time, if they go burn your face too early, then the damage from Hunter very quickly snowballs as well.
Yeah, Hunter is definitely in a good spot for those reasons. And I'm not going to get sick of saying it anytime soon about what you just said about you've just got to run them out of stuff very quickly, because even sort of 10 damage from the mage minions can be enough to put you in a really bad position.
Yeah, for sure. And Hunter, of course, no healing and very limited taunt in the form of Houndmaster. It's conditional taunt even. So Tom will definitely be thankful to have this weapon.
Taking down the Mana Worm before it gets out of control, and then, like you were saying, next turn is that kill command. Looks like the option, but the deck hand that we saved earlier could come in very handy depending what Kolento actually drops on this turn.
Yeah, if you're Kolento, I guess an Explosive Rooms would be fine because Tom runs Bear Shark.
Sure.
Does he? Well,
he runs a lot of fast stuff in there. I'll just let you check it out.
Actually, sorry, he doesn't. But Salty Captain is a very good target for Explosive Runes as well. I don't think... Well, Counterspell, then again, could be blocking an Animal Companion. So it's up to him to decide which he thinks is more likely. And did Tom keep the deck hand? I think he didn't, right? He just got the
Creeper.
Right.
Yeah,
so, that in mind, I think Kolento prefers to play around Animal Companion here. And Kill Command by extension. Deck hand here and Patches double trading still makes the Corridor Creepers a little too expensive. But in the following turn, I think at some point we're going to see a double Creeper followed up into Houndmaster, which will be the swing turn that Tom needs to completely take control of the board.
So how much do you value this 2 health to your face? Feels like this is actually a good spot for the weapon. There's no easy way apart from the hero power for Mage to do 1. Mm-hmm. This is one of the reasons that Paladin is so good against Mage. They actually struggle to deal with these 2/1s and 1/1s without wasting a huge amount of time. And this is why Tom's spending so long here.
Right, but the thing with the minion trades is that it makes the creepers so much cheaper that I find it really tempting to go for these trades. Using the weapon may leave you with no way to deal with something like a Kirin Tor Mage.
But would you? That's again, that's you've got to factor that in. Would you want to deal with a Kirin Tor Mage with a weapon, or do you want to find another way to deal with it beforehand? So those are all the things that are going through his mind, and he has decided, yeah, I don't mind taking that chance.
So Kolento looking like he's going to have a pretty dead turn here. Apprentice is a welcome sight, so he can pair a secret or the draw with it. I would like to see the secret come down. Having seen trades like that, I'm sure you can expect at least one corridor creeper.
Yeah, it seemed weird, right, as far as Kolento's concerned. When people tell you, by the way, that Arcane Intellect might be too slow in this deck, bear this game in mind. A lot of the time, Arcane Intellect is very good. It's just an ongoing discussion for the pros and cons.
Yeah, it is just like, sometimes you don't draw Aluneth, I mean, as surprising as it seems. So Kolento actually going to value the intellect just to make sure he has stuff to do to follow up and just get that one slow turn out of the way while there's no minions challenging the board right now. And this means Tom can go swing in with the weapon and play double creeper, or you can play deckhand double creeper, I believe.
That seems good. He definitely can. They would only cost one, so yeah. That would be good.
And he does keep the weapon that way, so I'm pretty partial to that play.
Yeah, that's how he's going to go with it and get this double creeper down.
That's pretty sick, huh?
That is indeed
turn
pretty
5
sick.
and you even float 1 mana.
Did anyone notice this card, or was it a sleeper? I'm going to do it every time.
I think everybody's just going to say that, oh, we knew it from the start.
Yeah.
Of course Corridor Creeper was always
It was
good.
fun watching Ike do the card review because he had input into the Love You Lots team build that won Trinity Series, and his card review, he sort of ummed and erred through Corridor Creeper. If you watch it back, he's like, yeah, it's good, yeah, and then just tries to divert it as much as possible because he'd obviously worked all this out already.
Right, so I think Kolento is forced to go for a Mana Worm Fireball turn here, which doesn't feel too great, but I mean, he's not in a position where he can start burning down Tom's face. Do you see anything with Frostbolt and Glyph that you might like better?
I think the Fireball might be the thing. I don't think... Do you play the Mana Worm and then set up the Frostbolt with the Mana Worm being a 2/3? You're burning your opponent's minions as mage. This is the thing you were talking about at the start. This is where you just don't want to be.
Yeah, the thing is that this Hunter also runs out of steam pretty quickly. It's got really, really light minions in the form of pirates, and so Kolento might be in a better position to go for control, being at a slightly higher health total. But then again, Hunter has that repetitive hero power to consider as well.
Looks like he was actually digging for some sort of multi-freeze card there, just to start a race off, the way he actually played it.
Or just some more efficient way to deal with minions. And I'm not sure if Tom had tested for explosive runes yet there.
Yeah, with the creepers,
Okay, so...
Yeah, he knows it's probably counterspell. Who needs spells?
Yeah, and he's got perfect meteor placement as well, in case that was the pick off of the glyph. So very clean from Tom here, and I guess Kolento is going to be forced to do, Fireball Pagan turn? That seems awful. But Fireland's Portal just seems way too mana inefficient.
Yeah, it's not like you can get a charge minion and just try and get a Doomguard or something.
Yeah.
It's not getting through that creeper anytime soon. So he needs to try and find a way where he maybe's got a 2-turn lethal. 8. Does he think his block might stay up an extra? He might have to go for 3-turn lethal, in which case he can definitely try and work this out.
Yeah, but there is already, 17 on board. So...
But the extra 2 is actually hard to find with counterspell.
Sure.
One Handmaster's gone. There is a Leroy. There's definitely ways. He's decided he can actually win this game by fighting for the board.
Really? I actually don't see it with this kind of hand unless he picks up a glyph into bigger AoE.
Unless he's decided there is no 3-turn lethal ever in his whole deck. Maybe he's calculated through and was like, just never happens.
Or it would have to be that extreme glyph into tome, blah, blah, blah thing that we talked
can always
about
happen,
all the time.
But
But this way seems really difficult to win as well, even if he pulls some sort of taunt off of the Firelands. What's it going to be? Firelands into Halaziel or something.
I mean, the fact he took down the creeper means he feels that he needs to get some more damage through with minions at some point, I think.
But it's really not cutting it. Having seen that he would only be able to remove 2 minions at a time, I guess maybe Kolento thought that there might not be too many minions left in Tom's hand, but Tom was able to refill, and that Okay, which
proc,
pop do you like? Well, he can go for the flanking to, proc the counter spell and then use kill command. You prefer this as opposed to a Leroy pop?
I do, yeah. You don't want to give them those 1/1s. You don't want to proc on a funny number.
It's not even a block. What are we talking about? Oh my goodness! For some reason, I thought there were 2 secrets up, but anyway, yeah.
Yeah, for where Tom's at, he still has to treat it exactly as if, because he doesn't know if it's counter spell or not.
Yeah. So very clean there.
And 1-0, and the Hunter getting its job done. We were saying that we weren't sure about Hunter, but that went pretty well.
Yeah, I think it found one of its targets for sure. I think that Hunter loses to control decks pretty easily because of...
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have that late game extra punch, and it burns out really quickly compared to the Hunter that Kolento's brought. But against Mage, which doesn't have good ways of healing up, I think that it would have a good shot. So maybe our ladder testing just wasn't against the right type of decks.
Our ladder testing was great. And let Kolento remember in that game did go Mana Worm into Arcanologist.
Yes, the
and
best
still
possible
didn't win the game. So that's a good matchup for the Hunter, pretty sure.
Right. So that means that Tom is only left with his Paladin and Rogue, I believe.
Yep. Yeah, the priest and the rogue. Because Paladin was banned out.
Right.
Just a little bit too quick for Kolento's kind of quick lineup.
Yeah, and we were just talking about this, right? That people are thinking that maybe Paladin is favored against priest.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go so far as to say favored, but it's maybe better than it was before.
Yeah, it's just the Paladin is so quick, and the priest does have to draw a lot of good stuff. The thing is, the priest does draw a lot of good stuff, so I think there's an extensive amount of work needs doing on that matchup, though. And it might be interesting. I don't think we've got the ideal build of Paladin yet. It's still a relatively new thing. Well, aggro Paladin's been around since time began, but it's a relatively new thing where it's had to cope with all the AoE available to priest to try and tune it. It's just a case of whether you tune it to beat priest or whether you still want to beat the meta with it.
Right, and there is difference in the paladins that each player decided to bring. Like Kolento's is the more common aggro paladin that we're used to seeing, just a bunch of small minions. Tom's is more Murloc oriented, which I would think has a better chance against priest because not everything dies to one Spirit Lash. So that might be a reason for the banning. So Tom is going to queue up the Highlander priest into Kolento's mage up for a second run.
Interesting to see what Tom keeps, and interesting to see if Kolento can draw 2 secrets back to back, because that would make the game completely ridiculous.
Yep, I really like the Kirin Tor mage from Kolento here. From Kolento here, especially on the coin, because that stat line is just a nightmare for priest.
I also feel that people miss the point about Lackey, by the way. When the people say, oh, Lackey's not very good, you go turn 1 secret, it's not even good. It's so much better after a Luneth to go Lackey, secret, make a thing, hit you in the face. It's not all about the turn 1 necessarily with a Lackey. It's all about, it helps on turn 1, but it's also so good after a Luneth.
Right. I think that is the main reasoning for running it, because in a patches meta, Lackey on 1 just is lackey-luster.
Wow.
I am sorry about that, but
it's infectious. I do it to everybody over time, I'm afraid.
Unfortunately, no secret pickup for Kolento here, so if he wants to get this Kirin Tor mage down as soon as possible for the damage, which I would agree with, it means that he's kind of giving up that extra bonus. But hey, 4-3 against priest, I'll take it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's the magic number, and actually pretty hard to deal with for some time. And we can see it's even harder than that because Tom doesn't have a good answer for it right now. Not the card you're looking for, really.
Yeah. I was actually curious about this Glimmerroot keep from Tom, because I feel like Glimmerroot is definitely a keep in a slower matchup, but against a mage, when you hardly have time to play minions out so leisurely that die to Frostbolts and Valets, no sweat off the mage's back. I feel like it's more important to be looking for Kazakas and things that can really swing the board. Of course, Tom does have that, and it worked out for him because at least he has something to play on 3, and Kolento actually has no good way of dealing with it.
Yeah, well, I'm also thinking the Glimmerroot kills everything but the Crystal Runner, I think, off the top of my head.
Sure, but so it also gets killed by so many things, is what I'm thinking.
It's good against Mana Worm, it's good against Arcanologist, it's good against Valet, depending who plays first. Yeah. Maybe he realises, maybe that thing we've been talking about, maybe there's not quite enough removal for the early stuff. And you can heal back up. It's not like Rogue, where if you just miss your turn 3, you get smacked in the face for 6 and you just lose the game.
Right. So
you can take a little time.
I really like this play from Kolento here, realizing that trading in his Mana Worm and pinging is doing Tom's work for him.
Yep.
If he plays out another Mana Worm and forces a value trade from Tom, then he has at least one bigger Mana Worm that survives.
Sounds like Jade, who's got the bigger Mana Worm and an even bigger Mana Worm.
And bigger and bigger. And that AoE pickup from Tom should be pretty useful in the turns coming. No secret still for Kolento. At least he can go for Arcanologist Lackey and the secret there. So not a direct secret, but good enough here. That's going to be buffing these Mana Worms to a very respectable size.
And again, talk about how the Lackey functions in the deck. This isn't the intended function, but it's one of the things that people overlook when they say how bad Lackey is. Like, this is actually a great turn because there's a Lackey if he wants it.
And it looks like Kolento's actually not going to play it. What do you think this is?
Keeping it for some sort of reload. I'd have thought he'd want the explosive runes going into 5, actually. But maybe he doesn't want to... I don't know, actually. Maybe he just doesn't want the Kazakas to get hit, but that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Sorry, to get hit.
I'm really not too sure about that. It also would have cheapened his Crystal Runner so that if an AoE did come down, he would have decent for the turn right after. Is he trying to snipe something in particular with the explosive?
That's what I'm trying to work out, because he would have killed the Priest of the Feast as well, which is also pretty handy.
Yeah. Denying healing is always useful. Well, anyway, that gives Tom a pretty good window to take a value trade on a Mana Worm, perhaps silence the other one. Well, if he was going to silence, he wouldn't have done it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, now suddenly Kolento's in a bit of a tight spot and still got Tom on 21.
Yeah.
We haven't seen any Luneths today.
No, we have. Well, I think
The game's so different when somebody just drops a Luneth.
There was one in the Mage Mirror a while ago.
Right.
I think Aaron got it. Well, anyway, I guess now is the Lackey turn. The mana works out perfectly. But the thing is, the Fireball has to go into the Priest of the Feast, and so does the trade. So the 3/3 Mana Worm is gonna die to a sweet trade up from this Kazakas.
Yeah, lots of good things gone Tom's way. And again, the minions he kept have actually worked out really well for him here.
So Galaka Crawler actually not an auto include in Priest these days. A lot of the times that slot is given up for Psychic Scream, but Tom is maybe not thinking so much of a rogue ban in other lineups he would he were to come across. So
yeah, we are seeing quite a lot of Paladin this tournament, so maybe not the worst meta call to have that crawler for the rogue and the Paladin. If you're using it against two different decks, suddenly you're not wasting your tech card. That's 2/3 of their lineup when you've got a control over the ban.
So Tom at a precarious 15, but of course the Priest of the Feast sticking is insane here, and Kolento got not much to do aside from Entity and Crystal Runner, I suppose. Is there any reasoning for holding back the secret?
I mean, I'd have said no earlier, so...
Yeah, I mean, I don't see much either.
I think you would know now that Tom has a bunch of potentially garbage minions in hand as well, so you're scared. But it's never going to be better. I mean, what's the big minion trying to hit? Velen, maybe? In which case, now's okay anyway.
And it's also just the kind of thing that Kolento's hand is looking like he needs to start going face as much as possible, and that means just dumping stuff.
Yeah, you need to draw a Luna, so you might as well just play to that out and hope your opponent's low enough when you get there.
What Kolento's hoping is that the Crystal Runner survives to get the trade onto the Priest of the Feast, because as it stands, he has no way of dealing with it. Even Portal is one off in the next turn.
So he is saving Mirror to try and snipe something in particular.
Okay. We're actually just fitting in the ping now so that this forces Tom to actually heal the Priest of the Feast if he wants it out of range of either the Crystal Runner or Fireline's Portal. So I do like that from Kolento. That's death, and that's enough mana for healing, but getting a Crawler, why not as well?
21 is about the safety zone. Still, at 15, I was thinking that Kolento could still win because of the Pyro in hand. 21, he is going to get rid of the Priest this turn, but unless he gets a really big thing here off the Firelands...
Ooh, that's a big thing.
...is indeed gigantic.
Ooh, that's a Pyro. Wait, do we have any... What's the word you use? Cheeky lethals?
Cheeky lethal.
Alright. Pyro and Mind Blast is already 8 off the bat, and then you can get another 6. It's 14, and then... not quite. It would have been really cheeky, though.
It would have definitely been the cheekiest of lethals.
That order, though, small mistake from Tom.
Just doesn't want to draw cards.
As Priest, with 2 cards?
Yeah. Playing around Divine Favor.
This might be some... We know it's a card now, by the way,
Yeah,
guys.
we've been told. Thanks, Chalk.
Yeah. Might be a little bit of play to tilt Kolento a little bit, seeing as he's kind of cocky yesterday. Maybe Tom is trying to get in there a little bit and send a message.
Yeah. And he's going to. These two again have got a replay at the World Championships potentially, depending how the groups work out.
Yeah.
So, not only is this a gigantic invitational with a lot of money on the line, but there's even more money on the line. They might have a rematch. So, getting into each other's heads now is actually a worthwhile thing to do.
Right. So, looks to be. It needs to be Cone of Cold for Kolento here. I think Vaporize just does nothing. Well, Frozen literally does nothing. Vaporize does close to nothing. Cone of Cold might give him an opportunity to just freeze the right half of the board and start going face.
Seems what he's going to try and do.
Also removes that very scary Pyro, which could very easily abuse that Bitter Tide Hydra.
And now he needs to
ping off a 3-1. And, or do you prefer the entity here?
Yeah, I prefer the entity. Now we've seen some of the smaller stuff come out. That was the turn where Tom sort of went wide, so maybe the entity came down.
Holding Valley is obvious to prevent Acolyte draw. And that means Tom is 2 off.
Not all who want them are lost.
Oh, never mind. Oh, my. Oh, right. He can attack right into the Hydra. My bad. Jeez. That's still a cheeky lethal. I'm happy.
That's very cheeky lethal. And he draws a card. That would have been more. The crowd's going nuts out there. Like we can tell when the crowd's really loud because we are a long, long way from them. This is like the 3rd time we've heard them all day. They are going crazy.
That was... Tom, you can see him. He looks positively stressed about missing that Acolyte play for the extra draw. And
yeah, it's interesting. The best players often look stressed because of something they did wrong, even if they win the game.
Yeah.
I know Boar Control's one of those players from the UK. Even when he wins 3-0, he'll like be beating himself up after the game. But Tom there showing how much he's trying to get himself to concentrate to make sure he doesn't mess up with his 2-0 lead.
Right, and we saw Kolento barely making any reaction at all, even though that was the perfect top deck for Tom, despite that very obvious misplay. But Kolento, as we said, very confident player, always keeps his cool, so I don't think he's going to let being, I think, at an 0-2 deficit trip him up now.
0-2 deficit, so he has got a lot of work to do. Just the one deck left for Tom, which is Rogue, I believe, if my notes are correct.
Yeah, seems like it, because the Paladin's banned out. So how are you liking the Rogue versus what we've seen from Tom so far?
I mean
from
actually
Kolento.
thought Kolento might ban the Rogue out, so I've got to go with I don't fancy Kolento's chances here with the Hunter, which should be okay, the Mage, which we're not sure, and his own aggro Paladin. I think he's going to struggle to get this done.
Yeah, I think it's very, very low odds for Kolento to be able to take the win here. I'd say the Rogue is decently favored against Paladin and Hunter, and Mage might have a leg up just because of Ice Block and things like that, but as we saw, fair amount of Rogues took wins against Mage as well, so as long as Tom is able to rein it in, keep it together, and just play a bit cleaner than we saw in the previous series, then he should be well on his way to being the first Taiwan representative in Day 2.
Yeah, that'll be a 4-1. Obviously, the left-hand draw was a wipeout, but maybe they can wipe out the international players on the other side of the draw and level things up.
So
the crowd certainly hopes so. We've heard a lot from that crowd in that game.
I'd say that this matchup is actually what you might call sort of a main event for today in terms of what the interviewers and the media were hyping up to the Taiwanese crowd.
They went crazy. When the players basically had to hold numbers and then rotate them over when their number was called. And when 5 was called, it was Kolento and Tom. There were maybe 70 press media here.
Yeah.
And they just basically all cheered. Yay, we've got something amazing to write about tonight. It's a massive event here in Taiwan. Like the local press, the media is really into this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Tom, of course, as the top point earner in APAC, who actually had a very close shot at making it to Worlds even without the points.
Right.
Just through qualifying the way most people do. And, of course, has had great performances this year at the Malaysia Major and so on. And Kolento just being so well known no matter what corner of the globe you're in, but especially in China and Taiwan.
Yeah, surprisingly popular out here. He's played a lot of tournaments and done very well out here when the game was sort of growing out here as well. So very popular, but not so popular today because everyone is rooting heavily for Tom in this.
Right. So are you liking the double pirate play from from Tom here?
Yeah, I think I am. Get stuff on that board against the Mage. You don't want to face tank much anyway, so get those minions to do that job for you.
Yeah, by double pirate, I meant patches and deckhand. Obviously, the Firefly or Flame Elemental presents more health than a Swashbuckler, and without a captain in hand, it makes more sense. And this is the kind of board that mages really struggle to deal with, so if Tom can just safely navigate through these secrets, should be in a really good spot.
And showing there why you go wide like this, because this 4-3 is just looking at this army like, what am I supposed to do about you guys?
I was built for priests.
Yeah, exactly.
And really, really nice way to work around the secrets there. Being on the coin as rogue against mage is such a huge benefit, because that gives you such a cheap way to test for one counter spell. And even if it's not there, he had the Swashbuckler in hand to test for the other secret, which is Explosive Runes. Still gets that clean combo effect, and it just seems like everything is seamless for the rogue in this opening few turns.
Yeah, it's just so wide. And again, just not using that hero power was showing exactly how much he understands this matchup. You're not going to face tank damage anyway, so get those minions on the board, and you can see this is almost, it's not all over by any means, but it's such an easy game now for Tom, having get those first 2 turns right.
Right, and Kolento has just drawn so dead this matchup as well. I'm sure he was looking for Glyph into perhaps Volcanic Potion, not quite hitting it. Nothing here wants to eat a Fireball, so what's it going to be? Another Ruin? Seems awful as well. Maybe Entity and try to get, I don't know, Saronite Chain Gang. It's not even good enough.
Just Fireball face and hope it all goes away.
Oh my goodness.
Just because of the mana considerations, basically. I don't even know what you're supposed to do here. If Kolento's roping, I'm allowed to say I don't know what I would do here.
Yeah, if this were a ladder game, I would concede personally. But I guess it's runes. Yeah, I'd say it's runes as well. Maybe Tom slips up a little bit and plays a low health minion. You get, I don't know, if you draw another Fireball, another Frostbolt in the coming turns, you still have the block at least.
Yeah, it was also a way of making sure that Tom couldn't play a big minion that turn, and you still get your damage in, whereas Fireball face or something ridiculous like that doesn't even slow the board down. So it's probably the most efficient play. It just doesn't actually help enough.
So what is Kolento even hoping to draw here aside from Glyph into something amazing? He's staring down 10 on board. You can at least expect another one from the dagger. You see that Tom actually has lethal with Leroy.
Yep.
If the block isn't played or if damage isn't removed.
What to do?
And Kolento's got to start weaving damage. And unless, and we saw him earlier, he went for the line where he thought he could just take down all the minions.
Yeah.
So maybe he goes with that line again, but that seems very ambitious. But this time he does have a Luneth available.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure if that was the line of trying to take down minions or get as much damage in without tossing the Fireball right away, because Explosive Runes counts as burst in some ways as well.
But in one of the previous games he actually went with just
okay.
removing minions. Sorry, in game 1 I think it was against the Hunter.
Great.
He
so
sort of just gave up on.
So I guess it's going to be block and ping the deckhand here. Alternatively, you could ping the deckhand and Frostbolt phase.
You could even Frostbolt a 3-3 if you think it slows Tom down enough. There's a lot of damage comes off the board if you do that.
Sure.
But I don't think you ever win. Kolento agrees.
Right. Yeah, this is the line that will give him at least one out, which is, I don't know, Glyph into another block and so on. But Tom has the pop right here. And that's just going to be sealing the game next turn. I don't know what single draw.
Yeah, now we're into silly Glyph discussions again, and I can't even see how that's ever going to work out.
Even Blizzard, Kolento wouldn't have a way of preventing the dagger either. So that's actually going to be a quick 3-0 by Tom.
Yeah, Taiwan get their first win on the board, and it's one of their headline players, Eat All the More, so they've all the more chance of reaching the final.
And Kolento gonna go out in the most honorable way possible with a ping to face. And wow, the crowd is going wild.
Absolutely nuts.
I actually wonder if they're happy about this. Am I